Hi, Julie, welcome. Can we start this conversation by asking you how, according to ETRC's index, travel retail and duty-free has rebounded since the pandemic?
Yeah, I think according to the index that we produce on a quarterly basis, we can see that the recovery has been steady. If we look at the 2023 numbers, we're only about 2% behind 2019 figures. So really hopeful that this year, in 2024, will be the year of full recovery and even growth for duty-free and travel retail in Europe. And I think considering the many challenges we've had in Europe, geopolitical, lack of passengers coming from Asia, for example, I think we can be fairly happy with where we are at the moment.
And what about the economic contribution that duty-free and travel retail makes to the European transport economy?
It's a very important point, and it's one which we need to make towards EU regulators and towards politicians.
Time and time again.
Time and time again. So we have commissioned actually a new economic impact study, which we will be releasing in the coming month, so that we can show indeed the importance of duty-free and travel retail, not only in terms of on turnover and sales, but also the importance of employment and the role that it plays in the transport ecosystem in general.
What about the progress that's been made in advocating arrivals duty-free shops in the EU for travellers from third countries?
This is still a priority for ETRC.
It's taking a long time,
It's taking a long time, but it's taking a long time for 27 member states to agree on a change which requires unanimity. If you add that, 2024 was the year of EU elections, a new commission is currently taking place, but we're hopeful that this is something which we can put back on the agenda of the new commission, and we'll be working very closely with our members, retailers, brands, but also airports, in order to advocate for the benefits which arrivals could bring into the EU.
Just building up on a more general level now, and it's about policy and advocacy. Just how is ETRC working to promote greater awareness of the uniqueness of the travel retail and duty-free community at the European level?
It's a constant battle, as you can imagine, because politicians change as well. So you need to constantly try to meet the relevant people. As part as well of the new commission and having, as I mentioned, produced an economic impact report, we'll be looking as well at having a booklet explaining the importance of duty-free and travel retail, the role which it has, for example, in enhancing the brand's visibility for small players to access an international audience. The role it has for airports, ferries and the cruise system. So we're trying to make, I would say, the general public as well more aware of the importance of duty-free and travel retail. But it takes time, and it's an exercise which needs to be repeated at very different level, national level as well, because at the end of the day, member states, as we can see recently, are also adopting policies against aviation, which, as you know, is under a negative spotlight. So I think we all have a work to do in promoting our industry.
Let's move on to an area now where you've actually achieved some tangible and measurable success. Is there an update on your digital labelling platform of product information in travel retail and duty-free?
Yes, absolutely. So there's two aspects on the project. One is very much an advocacy part, because we still need EU legislation to be amended to allow for digital labeling as a replacement to unpacked labeling. This is something which we are taking a lead on in Brussels. We are working with a lot of different trade associations to try to push this message at Commission level and also Member States level. And here we've had several successes in convincing parts of the Commission that this is something which needs to happen. How you inform consumers in the digital age. I think it's high time now for the legislation to reflect that. But that's the advocacy part. In parallel, we're indeed also progressing on the duty-free label project, as we call it. And we have suppliers in the food category currently working on inputting some of their data to assess how they could work together collaboratively to use digital labeling in duty-free in the future. So we're currently evaluating the next steps as well, but ideally we would love to have some in-store tests to really demonstrate the importance.
That would help.
Exactly, absolutely, that digital labeling actually has in a travel retail environment, which is, as we know, very different from the domestic environment.
You have to be very long on patience in this game, don't you?
Yeah, I think lobbying is a very long and patient game indeed. But I think it's an exercise which is really, really important to make. But step by step, we see progress. So I hope that's what we're hoping to achieve, yeah.
Okay, now sustainability, of course, is top of most people's agenda right now. What initiatives is ETRC undertaking to promote sustainability in the travel retail sector?
I think the first exercise we wanted to do was to make sure our members and also some of our partners understand the wide scope of sustainability. This is not only about climate change or about environment. It covers, as we know, very many different aspects. So we commissioned a series of reports trying to map out the impact of EU legislation on travel retail, looking at retailers, looking at brands, but also at landlords, meaning airports, ports and ferry operators, for example. So for us, educating our members, I would say, is probably the first point around what's coming down the line in terms of regulatory and legislative changes. But secondly, we also believe we have a role to play and act as a platform to exchange information, exchange best practices, and really try to drive the sustainability agenda for our channel as well. This is taking some time, as you know, because it really requires a lot of collaboration between different parties. But we can see already that a lot of progress has been achieved over the past year. So we're hopeful that we will be able to play a more important role in the future.
Okay, so just picking up on this, I mean, are you helping support members in navigating EU sustainability legislation? It's really something of a maze, isn't it?
Yes, it is a maze, and that's the reason why we commissioned reports to be able to help us as well in order to set out the priorities and for our members to understand what was coming up. The interesting part as well is that with the new commission, we already see changes into the, I would say, what we call the Green Deal and the Green Agenda of the Commission. So a number of initiatives have also been postponed and delayed. So yes, this is going to be a very interesting space, and we really hope to support our members into understanding how they have to operate in this new world.
Okay, let's move on to passenger rights. I mean, what's your position on the Air Passenger Rights Regulation Review, specifically with reference to carrying duty-free purchases on board?
So for us, it still remains, it should be a given that passengers have the right to bring their duty-free purchases on board in addition to their cabin luggage and at no extra cost. So if it's within the passenger rights regulation or if it's within a different framework, it's something which we are currently assessing because we see that maybe there could be a self-regulatory option, which the Commission is also trying to promote with airlines. But definitely we will be making the case that, it has to be recognized that duty-free purchases should be considered, should it be legislation or voluntary measures which are being adopted by the airlines.
Let's go to future casting now. What do you see as the biggest challenges and, on the flip side, opportunities for travel retail in the coming years?
I think it's a very interesting question. Of course, if we all had a crystal ball, I think that would certainly help us. In terms of opportunities, I think we see Europe as a very mature market when it comes to duty-free travel retail. However, we have seen the potential and the creativity which European retailers and brands and airports had since COVID. I think we've been doing really well considering the many challenges we had on the horizon. So I'm really hopeful that this creativity will continue bringing interest and will continue driving passengers into our shops. On the other hand, we do see some challenges, especially in terms of regulation and legislation, which will aim to restrict the way which we operate in duty-free and travel retail. Tobacco, as you can imagine, is targeted, and there is a clear mandate from the World Health Organization that they want to advocate for a ban of duty-free sales. But tobacco is first, but we know they will also target other product categories, such as alcohol, such as confectionery.
It's like a trickle-down,
exactly,
isn't it?
So the list never ends. So for us, I keep repeating this, but it's so important that we defend the shopping basket, and every product needs to be considered into this shopping basket. So I think it's not just tobacco, it's not just alcohol. It's really the importance of travel retail and making sure that we get the best operating conditions for our industry to thrive.
Do you think we need to deliver a greater share of voice as a business generally to get heard amongst the communities that we're seeking to influence?
Yes, I think for many years there was maybe a tradition of just being reactive as duty-free and travel retail and trying to keep our head, under the parapet, as I would say. I think nowadays we are also being more vocal about how we operate. We know, for example, our supply chain is super transparent, secure, and we have been doing a lot of work with policymakers within the context of the Duty-Free World Council as well, and our other sister organization in the world, to try to communicate our credentials when it comes to responsible retailing. And I think this is something which we need to enhance because the days of just keeping operating as we were are over. So I think we have some very good stories to share, and I think it's time that we all take credit and that we start talking about how great our business is and how serious and responsible we are.
One final question, Julie. I mean, ETRC is supporting today's ACI Europe Commercial and Retail Conference and sponsoring the closing keynote address. Why is this important to you and to the industry as a whole?
I think for us it was really important, and I would say an evidence to support the return of this conference. We're really proud to talk about the importance of commercial revenues and the importance of retail. We all thought that with COVID, physical retail was dead. Clearly, we've seen revenge travel, we've seen revenge shopping. So I think there are many, many good stories that we can share.
It's moved on since then, though, hasn't it?
It has moved on. Hence the importance of trying to look ahead and trying to see how we can together and collaboratively coming with new solutions, coming with new answers, and making sure that the future is bright, not only for the airports, but also for the retailers and the brands. I think for us, this is a very important conference because it brings some food for thoughts, it brings some concrete example as to how, if we work together, our industry can only perform better.
Yes, I definitely think there were some new experiences and some new learnings from the people attending here. I think everybody came out of it thinking this was more than worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could see that, the old format was 2 days conference. Here we started with a one-day conference and we didn't have enough time. There are so many different aspects that we would like to touch upon when it comes to generating commercial revenues. So we're really hoping that next year we'll go back to the old format of a 2 days conference. The importance of networking as well. I mean, it's not every day that you can meet with so many different important players.
There are about 100 different airports here.
Yes, exactly. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Turnout.
So I think it really shows the importance of this conference, and we look forward to support it in the future as well.
Excellent. Thank you for your time, Julie. Good seeing you.
Thank you.